The end depends upon the beginning. It's a poor libation of Hestia. A child of the immortals offers fire to the immortals. O blessed Hestia, mistress of fire and light, flesh of my soul, bring into my home your divine fire. Let my house partake of your wisdom, love, and power. Blessed Hestia, be welcome in my home. Alright, for anyone on Facebook, there is now an Echoes from the Temple community group that you can join, as well as the Discord community. So pick the one that is right for you, or join both, and you can find both in my link tree in the description. I hope to see you all there. I also want to extend this invitation out to everyone, as my last two videos were interviews with people who have been walking a more spiritually aligned path and how their life has changed because of it. If you have been devoted to a pagan spiritual path or a lifestyle of magical practices and want to share your story, reach out to me. The goal of these videos is to show how diverse these experiences can be for different people. But now let's get into this video. Continuing with the next video of On the Gods in the World with chapter 13, for those who know about Monty Plaisance's translation, I unfortunately started this series before he published it. So I'm using the Thomas Taylor translation for these videos. I will share a link in the description where you can get a copy of Monty's translation for under $10, and it is worth every bit of it. But moving on, at this point in the text, Sallustius begins to discuss the nature of those things which to us are uncreated, this being the entire cosmos and everything within. Specifically, we start to get into the nature of entities that were not generated. Now, the nature of such entities are different from the entities produced by the primary cause. The distinction in the nature of primary and secondary entities is important. Where secondary entities arise from the generative power of the primary causes, the primary natures exist within a state of eternal unity and are not able to fall into the process of generation and corruption. Sallustius explains how generation can occur through various means, in which he describes three. It may be the result of art, which indicates a deliberate design. This can be seen in the way that a sculptor carefully sculpts an image out of clay. The second is through nature, wherein the potential within the very matter develops by itself given enough time, much like a tree sprouting from the seed. Lastly, it may occur through power. This is where a force or influence imposes structure to the matter itself. This can be seen in the manner which light comes from the sun. Coming to an understanding of these various methods of generation is important to grasp the relationship between those things which are generated and those that are ungenerated. Those things that are made and those that have always existed, or the many and the one. Each method of generation is a reflection of a different aspect of the way in which the cosmos and all of creation within has come into existence. And each method brings to light the principles that are governing existence as a whole. If we come to understand the processes in which things manifest into being, we recognize that the relationship between the creator and the creation is contingent on the nature of the operation itself. When we have a creation that manifests by art or nature, there is a distinct order. The creator exists before that which is created. For example, there must be a sculptor in order for the sculpted to exist, just as a seed is required for the tree to grow. The creator is first in all things that it creates. However, this is different for that which manifests through power. The effect of the power, such as light from the sun or heat from a flame, happens at the same time of the power itself. These occupy the same space, exist together, and cannot be separated. This shows a deeper connection where the cause and its effect are in unity. The inherent power in the source is not something that is acting at a distance or delayed in action, but is an immediate expression of the nature of that source. If we look at an example of the sun and the light that radiates from it, the sun does not begin before the light within time. The light is instead the direct and continuous manifestation that exists from the sun's essence. The sun and the light are coexistent, as the light cannot be separated from the sun's ability to illuminate. In the same manner, fire and heat share this coexistence. Fire doesn't produce heat at a point in time later. However, the heat is manifest immediately and is a constant expression of that fire's nature. The same can be said about the function of the elemental quality of coldness to that of snow. The coldness isn't something that is generated from snow over time, but rather a quality that is attached to the existence of the snow. Coming to this understanding shows an important distinction within the metaphysical framework. An entity which operates through power shows that the effect is not separated from them, but is an inherent and eternal expression of the cause. This is a reflection of a much deeper unity between the source and the manifestations that come. This reveals a principle in which the cause and effect are so intertwined that it is impossible to consider them as separate from one another. By coming to this understanding, we are able to grasp the nature of certain fundamental entities within the cosmos, such as those that are ungenerated and whose existence and operations are essentially timeless, always present and eternal. These entities do not only bring forth effects, but embody their effects in a non-stop and ongoing, inseparable manner, while reflecting the higher order of reality, where the cause and effect are one. If we continue the exploration of the nature of divine creation, we need to examine each of the various modes of production, these being whether the gods produced the world through art, nature, or through power. If we say that the gods created the world through art, would suggest that they did not only bring the world into existence, but also crafted it with extremely specific forms and characteristics, just as art involves the imposition of the sculptor onto matter, since art is the process of shaping one thing in a specific manner to a particular design. This does beg the question that if the world is produced by divine art, where does it get its very existence? The being, rather than just its form. Since art is a creative process, it stands to reason that there is something in order to be sculpted or molded. In this model, the gods are acting as artists, molding and shaping the already existing material into the world. However, this does not explain the origin of the material that is being shaped. Now, if we look at the view that the world comes into being from nature, then we accept that nature imparts something of itself into its own productions. Like a tree growing its fruit, it gives its essence, carrying a reflection of its very characteristics. With this reasoning, if the gods are incorporeal beings and do not possess physical bodies, yet the world, being the offspring of the gods through the manner of nature, the world itself should be incorporeal. If the cause is incorporeal, it would reason that the effect would also be incorporeal, as it imparts its essence onward. However, the world that we interact with every day is corporeal and made of physical matter, possession, form, and substance. Therefore, this is a contradiction prompting us to rethink the nature of the gods and the method of creation. If one was to argue that the gods are corporeal, then we have another dilemma, that being how an incorporeal being can give rise to incorporeal realities such as soul and intellect. So, if we were to establish that the gods are corporeal, then we are tasked with explaining the origin of incorporeal entities. Those things that have no physicality, however, are undeniably real. But on the other hand, if the gods are incorporeal, we then need to explain the manner in which they produce the corporeal world without imparting their incorporeal nature within it. This suggests that the production of the world by the gods may not be explained through art or nature by themselves. We may need to come to an understanding of divine power that exceeds these modes of creation, a force that is capable of bringing forth both the corporal and incorporeal from a source that is beyond both, a unity that completely encompasses all levels of existence. Such a divine power would be more than capable of producing the world as it is in both the corporal and incorporeal, all within a manner that reflects the unity of the divine. If we continue with this line of thought, we come to another complication by attributing the creation of the world to the gods through the method of art or nature, because if we accept the idea that the gods created the world in a similar manner to natural processes, we then need to explain the consequences that arise from this line of thinking. For example, within nature, the source is linked inherently to the very nature of its creation, such as the way a tree is linked to its roots. If the roots of a tree are damaged, the tree may wither away. This would imply that the natural producer is vulnerable to the same influences as its offspring. So, if the world is a creation of divine nature and is subject to corruption, then it would follow that the divine creator is also subject to the same corruption, because within the realm of nature, the creator and creation are intrinsically linked and bound. The gods, by their very nature, are understood to be eternal, unchanging, and incorruptible. To say that the gods are subject to corruption is to undermine the very concept and idea of divinity, which is often characterized by immortality and perfection. So if we claim that the world is created by the gods within the manner similar to that of natural processes, we have to view the gods as potentially corruptible with their creations. This is a contradiction on the foundational principles of most theologies and everything that we've already established through these videos, as the divine is beyond the imperfections of the material world. With these contradictions in place, we are able to see that the world's creation by the gods is unable to be explained through the method of art or nature alone. This brings us to the third manner, which is power. Power, unlike the natural processes and artistic creation, does not require the separation of the creator from its creation. However, what comes to be through power comes to exist in a continuous and with an inseparable relationship with the source of that power. The mere existence of a created world is not something that just comes to be independently of the divine. It is sustained by and subsists with the divine power that brought it into existence. Within this understanding, we are able to achieve a conclusion that the world was created by divine power and cannot be destroyed unless the source of that power is deprived of its power. But by definition, the gods are eternal, which implies their power is also eternal. This means that the world, which is a product of divine power, cannot be subject to absolute destruction. The world continues and persists by the undiminished power of the gods. Modern science tells us that everything is a form of energy, and energy cannot be destroyed, just transformed. So we find that within this framework, the world is not only an artifact of divine creativity, but it is an everlasting and continuous expression of divine power. As light exists so long as the sun shines in the heavens, the world exists as long as the divine power sustains it. This view aligns with our understanding of the cosmos, wherein the corporal and the incorporeal are intertwined, and the world's existence is connected to the divine. The order of the world is therefore not due to a one-time bang of creation, but the ongoing power of the divine which continues to animate all existence. This resolves the problem we stumbled upon earlier with the potential for corruption and decay. Since the world is sustained by the eternal divine power of the gods, it is not subject to the processes of the natural world. As the world may undergo change, its fundamental existence is safe so long as the divine power remains active, which we have established to be eternal. If someone argues that the world is subject to corruption and destruction, they argue for a position which denies the existence of the gods, or that the gods are not truly divine. This is due to the fact that to admit the corruption of the world is implying that its creators are also subject to the same imperfections and loss of power, which is contradictory to the very essence of divinity. Since divinity, by the very definition, implies that a being is eternal and unchanging, therefore, to suggest otherwise is to strip the gods of their divine characteristics and reducing them to simple beings with the same limitations as their creations. This seems to be a very common view in modern pagan circles. For those who make the claim that the world is perishable, they either try to deny the existence of the gods completely or they remove their power from them. But if we accept that the gods are all good and eternal, then we accept that the world, being a product of their power, is coexistent with them. This implies that the world and the gods are not subject to complete corruption or destruction, since it is sustained by the very power that brought it into being. The power of the divine, which produces all things, is not finite, but an infinite power that supersedes and extends beyond all of creation. This means that it wasn't just men and animals of the physical world that were brought into existence through this power, but also divine beings such as gods or daemons. However different these beings may be from humans within their nature, they are products of the same divine power. This implies that we share in the same eternal and incorruptible essence of their creator. Going further, if we look at the relationship between that of the first God and humanity, it shines a light on the extreme difference in nature between the divine and the mortal world. The first God being so far removed from human nature, it stands to reason that there are intermediary powers between the two. These beings, or powers, bridge the gap between the mortal realm and the divine. This is similar to a system of hierarchy that gives different levels of authority and connects the highest to the lowest. This gives a cosmic order that serves to link the highest level of the divine to humanity. The intermediary powers between the divine and mortal realms are essential as they manage the relationship between the two. This makes sure that divine influences permeate all levels of existence, all the way from the highest to the physical realms of mankind. If these intermediary powers were absent, there would be a vacuum between the highest of the divine and humanity, meaning there could be no meaningful influence or interaction. This further enhances the view that all of existence is connected through a divine chain of being. So, in conclusion of this video, the concept that the world is incorruptible and is sustained by the divine further reinforces the idea of a universe that is put into an orderly fashion. The gods, through their power, are a part of a cosmic hierarchy that ensures the continuous and harmonious interactions between all levels of existence. This further solidifies that the world is permanent, and the never-ending presence of the divine offers a view of a cosmos that is divinely ordered as well as eternally sustained. Now, if you are still watching or listening to this video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you feel so inclined, share the video because it really helps the channel to grow. Also, I want to give an update to anyone who downloaded the Echoes from the Temple Android app. I will unfortunately be removing it as it has not been cost efficient to maintain. I am, however, still maintaining the website where you can still find the calendar, and I will maintain that. So until next time, Salate.